Right, today we welcome Kevin Liston, Vice President of Musselburgh Athletic FC, to the non-league radio show. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello, Stephen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to be here.
Excellent stuff. Before we get on about the club, I want to find a bit about yourself and maybe how you got involved with the club.
Well, I've been a supporter since I was a young boy. We used to jump over the wall and play on Olivebank. Olivebank's the stadium where Musselburgh play. And I started following Heart of Midlothian Football Club in Edinburgh. But as you get older, you get a bit, you change. And I ended up, before COVID, Musselburgh Athletic was going through a lot of difficulties. And the previous chairman was ousted, and a new local guy called Carol Cleghorn, was brought in to be the president. Carol, in effect, and his committee at the time, in essence, saved the football club. There was a lot of debt. I then got involved. When I heard Carol had got involved, I got involved, as did a lot of other local guys who had wee businesses and stuff. And only because he was there did we feel it was a safe environment to get involved in financially. And so for the past sort of 5 years, pre-COVID, I'd sponsor the bits and bobs, and I was fortunate to get the opportunity to sponsor the away strip. And then I just got involved on the committee, and then we had during COVID, it was difficulties, as everybody experienced in football, playing behind closed doors, no crowds, no money coming in. And I got involved that way. I've got a wee heating company, and so I've got a few guys working for me, and like a lot of guys that are involved in the football club, we're all just local boys who have got small businesses, and we got involved, and it's a great thing, I have to say. Local football, non-league, it's just fantastic. The pleasure you get out of it and the community spirit aspect of it is just, that's what it's all about, really, to be honest with you. It's a community, you know.
Yeah, great stuff. You touched on Olivebank. Obviously, I've been doing my research. Capacity of 2,500. I think it says covering of 200. Could you tell a little bit more about the facilities at the ground?
Yeah. Olivebank, we play our home games there, and we've got a good wee clubhouse run by Johnny Brown and Andy Grubb. It's got a wee sort of can bar type thing with an occasional licence for alcohol. And we've got sponsors in there. Every Saturday we get the game sponsored. We also have home and away dressing rooms, first aid room. We've got a covered stand and another covered stand between the clubhouse and the toilet block. Really, we've got top of the range floodlights as well, which we put in during the past 3 years, courtesy of some grant funding from our local council, who helped us out immensely. And that allowed us we became an SFA registered club about 3 years ago, through a guy called Norman Murray, who was the ex-vice president. Norman's, he won't thank me for saying this, but Norman's 74, and he does a fantastic job. A great guy. He knows the mechanisms of how local authorities, local councils work. And Norman single-handedly got us our SFA licence, which allows us to play in this Scottish Cup, the oldest football trophy in the world. So we're able to play in that, and we've played in it twice, and we've not got past the first round, but it's early days, and it's a great thing for us as a club to be involved in, when all we had before was the junior cup. But Olivebank's a great wee ground, very friendly, fantastic pitch, really good surface, drains really well, and we're in the throes of trying to get some funding to do some more work there. But like every ground, every football club at this level, you're reliant upon a lot of goodwill from supporters to try and help you out through labour, skills, and we've been fortunate. We've got a lot of really good guys come, and electricians, painters. I'm a pipe fitter, so we kind of all just pitch in when we can to keep the ground in good nick. We've also got, I reckon, one of the oldest groundsmen in Scottish football, 87-year-old George, cuts the grass at least once a week. Great guy. And that's again, we'd be lost without George. He's a great old guy, great guy.
Before I talk about the league that you're playing, because I want to talk about that and promotion and stuff, I want to talk about your teams. How many teams do you run?
At the moment, we're a senior club, so we have an under-20s development team run by Paul Smith, Neil Laidlaw and Robbie Murray. And we've got our first team, which is managed by our new management team of Liam Burns, Wayne Sproul and Jordan Dunsmore as the goalkeeping coach. And we've got a physio, Tony. She's just joined us as well. So we've been through a lot of changes in the past, this season actually. Our previous manager, he wasn't faring too well, and he decided to call it a day for various reasons. Joe Hamill and Davy Simmons, great, two really good guys, but it wasn't working out for them, and they decided that they went. So we approached Liam. He's only 27, so we've probably got the youngest manager in senior Scottish football and the oldest groundsman. I don't know if that's some kind of a record, but you never know. So our first team made a few signings when Liam came in, and he's full of some fantastic ideas. There's a whole new buzz about the place. It's just, he seems to have just flicked a switch, and the players have responded to him. And as a committee, we're really delighted with the way he's came in, changed training, he's changed the attitude. There's a lot more zest, a lot more enthusiasm. There's a lot more passion about the place. And that's no disrespect to the previous guys, but I think he's came in, and he's the age that he is. He's brought all that to the club, and his assistant manager, Wayne's the same. He's really dynamic and enthusiastic as well. So the team's doing pretty well. We're sitting at the moment, we're sixth in the league, 2 games in hand. If we can win those 2 games in hand, we could go up to third, I think it is. But for the moment, the weather forecast next few weeks, it's a bit iffy up here. So if we can get these games in, and we just have to try and literally, it's the famous old phrase, 1 game at a time. Yeah. And especially at the moment with the weather, we've got a game on Saturday. The temperature's dropping every day to Saturday, and there's a bit of a mild concern. Although we're right on the sea here, so we're favoured with the salt in the air, and it does tend to give us that couple of degrees less temperature. But no, it's really good. The teams, the coaches, and Olivebank combined, the general really good feeling this season to hopefully try and push on for next season.
And I'm guessing all the players part-time, Kevin?
The part-time semi-pro, they get paid a wee bit. And because of the general atmosphere here, the East of Scotland Premier Division, the majority of clubs try and give the players something. Right. You've kind of got to nowadays to keep a hold of them. And we're obviously ambitious, very ambitious, to be honest with you. Myself, Ewan Hall, the treasurer, Kenny Scott, the secretary, and Carol, the president, and the rest of the committee. Everyone's pushing in the right direction now. We're all trying to get. This year, it's maybe asking a bit too much, but next season, we'd like to think we can have a really good go at it and try and get promotion to the Lowland League, which is where we feel the club should be.
I'm just looking at the league, and your next fixture, you could do with that being on, because you're playing Vale of Liston, who are bottom. No disrespect to them, conceding 51 against goal difference. It would have probably been a good match for you to try and pick 3 points up.
It is. You're right. We played them about a month or so ago as well, and we beat them. I'll probably get this wrong. I think it was 5 or 6-1. But they've had a change in manager, and they seem to be getting, they're picking things up. And also, they were against us. They lost their goalkeeper early doors, and that really didn't help them. So they had to bring on a young lad who, a couple of good saves, but our forwards were kind of on fire on a very, very bad pitch. But it's the way it is. We just have to beat whoever we can play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking on the screen now. It's not good for people listening on radio, but I'm looking at the football system, and obviously you mentioned the Lowland Football League, and it says a
Yeah,
promotion playoff spot. So do you have to play against the other guys from the South of
yeah.
Scotland Football League or the West of Scotland Football League?
It's a three-way
I was
playoff,
going to say,
and
how does that work? A three-way playoff?
you'd have to ask the SFA about that. It's a really, it's the whole pyramid system. Kind of, it's well. I don't want to be controversial here, but in my opinion, if you win your league, you should go up.
Yeah, definitely.
However, that's not the case. There's a three-way playoff, and the winners of that playoff, as Trinent did last season, they got promotion by beating Darvel from the West of Scotland. And I think it's West against South, and the winners play the East. I think that's the way it works. So they did that, and we're desperate. We're trying. As I say, this season's too early, we think. More for the players and for Liam, and also us. We're a relatively new committee. I've only been in post about 3.5, 4 months, so we're all learning the ways of running a football club.
So the Lowland Football League, it says one relegation spot. So I'm guessing only one comes down, and it doesn't matter which league they drop into.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Still only the three-way play.
The other thing as well, in the Lowland League, we've got development teams from Celtic, Rangers, Hibs and Hearts playing that as well. And that also kind of slightly can, it gives a false impression in that league. But Bonnyrigg Rose successfully went into League Two a year ago. They won the Lowland League and they won the playoff. And they play off against the Highland League team as well. They won that, and then they also beat, I think it was Cowdenbeath, to get into League Two. It's a constant stream of, yes, you may win your league, but to get promotion, you always have to play a playoff, sometimes 2 playoffs to try and get up. I know that that's the way the SFA have done it, but it just, personally, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the club here, I just don't think it's right. You win a league, you should get promotion. Yeah, end of.
Totally
no playoffs.
Totally agree. I would be disheartening as anything if you won the league, keep winning the league every year, but you kept losing in the playoff.
yeah, and that's the thing. And there's also teams, arguably, in the Lowland League that a lot of teams in the east of Scotland, the west of Scotland feel they could probably give a good game to, and maybe, again, I'm speaking for myself here, maybe offer more to the league than other teams. I've got to be biased because I'm a Musselburgh guy, so I'm not going to. I'm going to say what I think about my team. Which I suppose in football you're supposed to be respectful of others, and I am very respectful of other teams. But as far as I'm concerned, I want us to get up there, and it really, what you've just said there is the thing that would kind of begin to grate on you if you were winning the league and not getting anything for it constantly, Yeah. But listen, we have to get there. We're a wee bit away, but everyone's pushing to try and get Liam and the boys up there.
You touched on it earlier about training. How many days a week do the guys train? I'm guessing it may depend on when they're playing matches.
Yeah, no, we train at Heriot Watt University in Edinburgh. They have a covered facility called the Orium, which is used by Heart and Midlothian train there. Their academies there, and we made the decision 2 years ago to go to the Orium. Up here, you've got public parks. We've got the links down in Musselburgh. There's also an AstroTurf pitch at Pinkie, which is a great facility. And our neighbouring boys club, Musselburgh Windsor, who are a very famous name up here in the boys club circles, they have got they've got Pinkie, and it's a great facility. We're trying to make inroads with them, and we've got really good understanding with them now. But for the moment, Monday nights, Thursday nights at the Orium, undercover, and the only time Olivebank gets used is for games on a Saturday. Because it's grass, and as I say, weather dependent up here, we're trying to protect the pitch as much as we can by not training on it. And the under-20s, they use Pinkie, the AstroTurf Pinkie, for all their home games. And they train at various parks around here where we can get them. But it's good. The Orium's a fantastic facility. Fantastic.
No, I'm looking on the website now, and for people listening, it's musselburghathletic.co.uk. I'm just checking some of the other stuff out while I'm on talking to you. Obviously, you've got your TV, which has got all the goals, the highlights. I'm guessing all the goals from...
That's on YouTube.
On
yeah,
YouTube,
that's on YouTube, yeah. We're also on Instagram and Twitter as well. We've got a girl, Amy Scott, who is just phenomenal. Amy does all our social media stuff, and she's a photographer. She does the tweets on match day. She does the Instagram posts, and she keeps everybody abreast of what's going on. And it's she's just a gem. Amy's an absolute gem. We'd be lost without her, I have to say that.
Yeah, and I'm finding from a lot of clubs I'm interviewing, the volunteers amongst the clubs is unreal. From the people that take photos every game, do the videos, like you say, do the Twitter or the Instagram, or do all the social media. And the amount of volunteers, I mean, I was going to talk about them as well. You must have a lot of volunteers at your club.
Yeah, we're always on the lookout for more. We've got a really good squad of guys that go in on we've got a couple of retired chaps, guys that work shifts, and they go in during the week and they'll do a bit of weeding around the pitch. They'll do a bit of grass cutting on the terrace. We've got grass terracings, so they'll cut the grass terracings. We've got a guy, Jimmy Dixon, who paints. If it doesn't move, it gets painted by Jimmy, and he's one of these guys. A brilliant guy. Tin of blue paint, tin of white paint, away he goes. And we've got other guys, as I mentioned before, about the electricians, the plumbers. We've got various trades who, if we need something done, we had last Sunday, for example, we had our annual clear up. We hired a skip, and there was 7 of us there, just going things that have accumulated, and we all pitched in and we get it all done. It's just the way it has to be, because you can't afford to bring in contractors. You can't afford to pay for things to get done. Every club is reliant so much on the supporters.
Yeah, and I was going to touch on the supporters next. So what sort of support do you get on a home and away game?
We've got the 1934 is the supporters club run by Johnny Brown. Johnny, when he can, puts a bus on. We played in Ayrshire 3 weeks ago against Kilwinning Rangers in the South of Scotland Cup, and we took a busload of 50 through to that game, which filled the bar through there. So the revenue, that's it's a day out. It's a fantastic day out. Going to watch non-league football, honestly, it's the best day out. And Johnny, all the guys on the bus, the women on the bus, the kids on the bus. We've got the Mussy boys, they call themselves a young team, as we call them. They've got a drum and all that. Mussy Ultras, if you like. And there's about 5 or 6 of them, and they'll stand there banging the drum, singing their songs. Group of young laddies, just in their early teens. And again, it's great because you want to get the next layer of support coming through. And so they go on the supporters bus. And if we can't get a bus, then there's always a hard core of 30, 35 guys and women that go to every game, home and away. Home, we get crowds at home. Average gate's about 200. And we're desperately trying to increase that, because obviously the more folk you get, the more revenue you get. So we're encouraging people to come to Olivebank. We're also, the away games as well, it's great. It's great when you pitch up somewhere and there's a supporters bus and there's cars coming behind it, and you get 50 or 60 people, turning up at an away game. The players know it. The players recognise it. They hear it, and it genuinely lifts them. It really does.
Where I was going to touch on, obviously, I can see some of the teams I can recognise where they're from, but where's probably your longest travel in your division? I don't know how far you.
We play a team called Genefield Swifts, who come from Perth. So we play them. That's the furthest north we go. There's a few teams in Fife, down to Vale of Leithen and then Leithen, but nowhere really as far as Genefield Swifts. However, we did in our first foray into the Scottish Cup. We won a trophy to get into the first preliminary round of the Scottish Cup. We beat Pennycook, and then we had to go up in the first round proper to Wick, which is at the very north tip of Scotland, during COVID. Yeah, thanks very much. So we did it. We took all we could take because of the restrictions. It was a team bus with there was about, I think it was 8 committee, and because it was also, it got postponed and what have you. We had to go way up there. But for us, it costs, you've got to hire a bus. So it is. I hate going on about it, but everything at this level is money. So to hire a bus, you're talking 600 quid.
Yeah, and touching on the money side, I'm guessing from the side there's player sponsors and sponsors. That's something you're always interested in people coming forward to do with the club.
Definitely, yeah. We'll be very. I have to say, we're very, very fortunate at Musselburgh. We've got a fantastic main sponsor, Belmont. It's a car dealership in Walford. They do Suzuki, and they have been brilliant with us all during COVID. And we also do. We try and get individuals. So they sponsor the shirts. They sponsor the club. We've got under 20s are sponsored by a company called Safe Building Services. They're run by Ewan Hall, who's our treasurer. So it's Ewan does that, and we try and get sponsors for anything we can. The players, we've got a big dance coming up, the Burgh Ball in March, and Ewan's company, Safe Building Services, have sponsored that as well, which was fantastic of him. And even down to all the supporters, you get families sponsoring players for 60 quid. The supporters club do it. There's lots of individuals that pitch in as well, and without that, it's so vital. And I do hope the supporters know, because we tell them often enough how much their support it means so much to us. And we've now this season we've managed to get ourselves a commercial manager, a chap called David McLean, who was a fan as well. He used to come to the games. He's now joined our committee as commercial manager, and David's put together a couple of leaflets that we were giving out to people. We're going to be sending to companies. It's all to do with just trying to get sponsorship and to try and help Liam get the players in that he wants, and to also help the under-20s with costs as well, because there's nobody, there's this family go and watch under-20s, and that's a cost. That's a big cost when you're running 2 teams. And if you don't have an under-20s team in our league, the league fine you. It's part of your duties as a club to bring youth through.
Yeah.
And again, they've got their own under-20 sponsorship set up. Again, with players being sponsored by companies, by family, by whoever. But yeah, it's really important to us.
And finally, I want to find out, maybe it's personal, but for the clubs, you mentioned before, probably not quite ready yet to go, but future aspirations for the club.
Oh, we it's no secret. We had a fans forum 3 weeks ago, and I sat there and I told everybody that was there that we want Lowland League. We don't see Musselburgh Athletic as an East of Scotland Premier team. We see Musselburgh at the least Lowland League. But to be honest with you, per head of population, compared to all the towns around us, we feel if Bonnyrigg Rose can get into League 2, then that has to be the ultimate aim, is that level of football for Musselburgh, because there's no team in East Lothian plays in the senior 4 leagues in Scottish football. And we think I think that's ridiculous, and we should be up there. And I know how desperate Liam is to do well. It's his first gig in management. He's a great guy. We hope with him and the guys. And listen, there'll be new boys coming in. I'm sure there will be. But next season will be the season where we see really how we are. And if we don't challenge next season, then I can guarantee we'll be challenging the season after. To at least try and get into the Lowland League. That's our ambition. Okay. Also, yeah. Sorry.
No, you're all right.
Sorry. We have to do it. One of the big things about us is that the club was saved through mismanagement. Sorry, from a previous mismanaged situation, and that will never happen again. We have to be aware of sustainability. We need to keep our financial feet on the ground, because we cannot jeopardise all the work that's went in the past 5 years to stabilise and safeguard the club. And that's one of the big things I'm acutely aware of. Ewan is certainly, the treasurer is certainly aware of it. Carol as well. And the manager knows that. But we try and fund him as much as we can. But it is that you've got to keep the purse strings controlled, especially at this level.
Great stuff. Kevin, it's been excellent talking to you, and you've name dropped loads of people, which is great. I love it, and they'll all get it. They'll all be listening and get a shout out, which is class. I love it when people name. I tell people to name drop, and some won't. They'll know I'm not going to mention. Just mention people. I don't mind. It's great. But yeah, spot on for talking to us today. It's been great.
Great. Lovely. Thank you very much. A pleasure. I hope to speak to you again.
No problem. Cheers, Kevin.
Bye now.